The Enchanted Wood by Enid Blyton. Chapter 14. The Funny Old Saucepan Man.
I don't think he's dangerous at all, said Franny. He's got quite a kind face.
Well, let's tap at the window, said Beth. She tapped, but the Saucepan Man took no notice. He just went on dancing away and crashing his saucepans together loudly. Joe tapped again, a little bit louder and a little bit harder. The Saucepan Man caught sight of him at the window and looked most astonished. He stopped dancing and went to the door.
Come in and dance, he said.
Oh, no, thank you, said Joe. We've just come to ask you to tea.
Ask me for a bee?
Said the Saucepan Man, looking surprised. Oh, I'm so sorry. But I don't keep bees, only saucepans. No, not bees, said Joe. To ask you out to tea.
Oh, but I don't want to go to the sea, said the Saucepan Man. I don't like water at all, never did. Very kind of you, I'm sure, but I hate the sea.
Not the sea, but tea, cried Joe.
Oh, tea, said the Saucepan Man. Well, why didn't you say so before? Then I would have understood.
I did say that before, said poor Joe.
What? Shut the door, said the Saucepan Man. Oh, certainly. If you want to, give it a push.
He can't hear very well, said Franny. He must be deaf.
No, I'm not.
The Saucepan Man, suddenly hearing perfectly after all, stopped and looked round.
Not a bit deaf. Only sometimes when I have my saucepans and when they've been crashing around me rather a lot, I get noises in my ears afterwards, but I am not deaf.
Well, I'm glad of that, said Joe politely.
Cat?
No, I haven't got a cat, said the Saucepan Man, looking all around.
Did you see one?
I didn't say anything about a cat, said Joe patiently.
You did? I heard you, said the Saucepan Man, vexed. I don't encourage cats. I keep mice instead. Oh, I shall look for that cat.
And then, with his saucepans clanging around him, he began to look for a cat that certainly wasn't there.
Puss! Puss, 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 he called. Puss! Puss, puss!
There's no cat in your house, shouted Moonface.
Mouse? Where did you see a mouse? Said the old man, alarmed. Oh, I wouldn't like one of my mice to get caught by your cat.
I tell you, we haven't got a cat, cried Joe, feeling quite cross. We've come to tell you about your friend, Mister Whatzisname. Now, for once, the Saucepan Man seemed to hear Joe, and at once he stopped looking for the cat.
Mister Whatzisname? He cried. Oh, where is he? Oh, he's a great friend of mine.
Well, wouldn't you like to go and have tea with him then? Said Joe.
Oh, yes, certainly I would, said the Saucepan Man. Please, tell me where he is.
He's sitting on the ladder leading from the Faraway Tree to your land, shouted Joe. He's waiting there.
Yes, for me, said Moonface in a whisper.
Shh, said Franny. The Saucepan Man gave a yell of joy when he heard where his old friend was, and he set off for the cliff, shouting in delight.
Hurrah! I've come to the Faraway Tree and I can see my friends again. And Mister Whatzisname is waiting for me to have tea with him. Come on, come on.
Up the cliff he went, treading on the saucepan steps, his own saucepans and kettles rattling and banging around him. The children and Moonface followed. The Saucepan Man ran helter-skelter to the hole that led down to the topmost branch of the Faraway Tree, dropping a few saucepans on the way. When he got there, he peered down and saw Mister Whatzisname sitting on the ladder, watching out for Moonface. But the Saucepan Man didn't know that, of course. He thought that his friend was waiting for him.
Hey! Hey! Hey!
He yelled, dropping a saucepan on top of Mister Whatzisname in his excitement.
Hey, old friend!
Mister Whatzisname watched the saucepan bouncing off of his foot down the branch of the Faraway Tree and wondering who it would hit. He looked up in amazement when he heard his friend's shouts.
Saucepan! Oh, dear old Saucepan, fancy seeing you. Glue?
Said the Saucepan Man, suddenly hearing all wrong again.
Glue? No, I don't have any glue with me. Well, I could soon make some for you, though, if you want. Oh, silly old Saucepan Man, aren't you? Cried Mister Whatzisname. Come down here. I didn't say anything about glue. Come and have a cup of tea with me. The kettle's boiling.
Oh, no, I don't want oiling, said the Saucepan Man, though he really sounded as if he did. He was so full of clangs and clatters.
I'll come and have tea with you, and we can talk all about everything. Hurrah!
He put his foot on the ladder. But unfortunately, he stepped on a kettle that had been around his leg, and down he went. Clatter, bang, crash, smash, clang. Mr. Whatsisname caught at him as he went past, and then down he went too, rolling off the ladder, down the branch, past Moonface's door, and right down the tree.
Oh, there they go, said Moonface in delight. All mixed up with kettles and saucepans. Ha! What a joke! They'll give old Dame Wash-a-Lot a fright if they fall into her wash-tub.
The children laughed till they cried. The old Saucepan Man was really so funny, and they couldn't imagine what the people in the tree would think as he rolled down with such clanging and banging.
It's quite safe to go down now, said Joe, peering down the ladder. They've disappeared. I shouldn't wonder if they're not at the bottom of the tree by now. Come on, Moonface, get down now.
So down the ladder they all went, slid down the topmost branch, and opened Moonface's door. Silky was still there, looking scared out of her life.
Ah!
She gave a scream of joy when she saw them.
Oh, why are you looking so frightened?
Asked Moonface, giving her a hug.
Oh, goodness, a thunderbolt or something fell out of the sky and rolled crashing down the tree,
said Silky.
Oh, that was only old Saucepan Man and Mister Whatsisname, said Joe, laughing, and he told her the whole story.
Silky laughed till her sides ached. She ran out of the door and peeped down the tree.
Look, she said. Can you see far down there between the branches?
They all looked, and they saw Mister Whatsisname and the old Saucepan Man climbing, painfully, up to Mister Whatsisname's home, both talking at the top of their voices.
Oh, phew, said Joe joyfully. They've forgotten all about us. Now, for goodness sakes, Moonface, do not go putting acorns into Mister Whatsisname's mouth again. Oh, let's have something to tea. And then we must go home down your slippery slip. Is that okay? So they all sat round, all 5 of them, in Moonface's funny room, and ate popcakes that Silky had fetched, and drank acornade that was made of acorns and was most delicious. Then it was time for the children to go. They chose cushions, sat at the top of the big tree slide, pushed off, and flew down the inside of the tree, sliding round and round and round till they shot out of the trapdoor at the bottom onto a cushion of moss. Then they ran home as fast as they could, for they were very late. Oh, I expect the old Saucepan Man's gone back to his odd little lamb by now, said Joe, as they turned in at the gate. But guess what? He hadn't. He came to see them the very next day, his saucepans clanging so loudly that Mother looked quite alarmed. "Whoever in the world is that?" she said, as the saucepan came in at the gate. And that is the end of chapter 14. So the Saucepan Man is going to go to their house. What do you think your mummies and daddies or your carers would say if the Saucepan Man arrived at your door? And what do you think will happen when he comes to visit Joe, Beth and Franny? Well, we'll find out in chapter 15. Bye-bye.